إمام محمد رضا إمام أهل السنة إمام أحمد رضا إمام محمد رضا إمام أهل السنة إمام أحمد رضا.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. My dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, we once again welcome you in our program Imam of Ahle Sunnah. Today inshallah we will talk about Piety of Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh. Before we proceed towards our topic, let's make few good intentions. Because my Shaykh Tariqat, Amir of Ahle Sunnah, Hazrat Allama Maulana Muhammad Ilyas Attar Qadri Damat Barakatuhum al-Aliyah, has given us a beautiful mindset. We should always make good intentions before performing any good deed or doing any permissible task. So I make this intention, inshallah, I will deliver this program for the pleasure of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. And you can make this intention, you will be with us from start to end, you'll remember what you learned, you'll act upon, and you will pass this knowledge on to others too, insha'Allah Azza wa Jal. Dear respected viewers, today we've got our brother Muballigh Dawat Islami Hassan Atari with us. Let's go towards him. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Hassan, how are you doing? You okay?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, ala kulli hal. How are you as one way UK?
I'm good too, alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for giving us your precious time and joining in this program. Hassan, as we will be talking about the piety of Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala, I think it would be a good idea to talk about what piety is. What is taqwa itself? So ulama, they have written various definitions of taqwa. One of the meanings of taqwa is that a person should not be found where his Lord Azza wa Jal does not want him to be. Right? Another definition, ulama, they've mentioned that taqwa is that doing good deeds and refraining from sins. Right? Obedience of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is taqwa. And when the wider meaning of taqwa is that a person should not be backbiting, he should not be slandering, he should not be tale-telling, he should not be missing his salah, he must be fasting, all fara'id and wajibat, he should be very much firm on them, and he should be avoiding sins, saghair and kabair, major and minor sins. When we look at the personality of Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh, the beauty of personality of Aala Hazrat is, subhanallah, fara'id and wajibat. When you talk about, subhanallah, akhlaq, when you talk about his seerah, the way he used to meet people, and following the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala wasallam, and definitely sins were very, very, very far away from this personality, from this wali of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. So he was a personality of taqwa, subhanallah, and taqwa, parhezgari, piety, he was a true reflection of that. So today, following this definition, what ulama have mentioned, let's talk about his piety. From the very first, I would like to ask that about fara'id, right? When it came to follow the commandments of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, how firm he was. Any example would like to share with viewers?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Like we mentioned about that we're discussing the piety of Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi alayh. So when we read the seerah of the Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi alayh, Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi alayh was, from the very young age, he was very pious. He was in very young age, he was acting on the fries. Like for example, it's mentioned in seerah of the Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi alayh that from very young age, he was punctual on reading, prayed with congregation. And he was Sahib-e Tartib from very young age and stayed Sahib-e Tartib until his death. So you can see from very young age, he was like, he has that he was going to the masjid and reading namaz with the congregation.
So not only offering salah, not only following the commandment of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, but he would even not miss salah with jama'at, which is wajib. So fara'id and wajibat, subhanallah, right, yeah. He was following the commandment.
He's following the commandment. But if we look in current situation, now we are, even the Muslims who are very like old age, they don't read namaz. But when we look talking about Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi alayh, that he is from very young age, he was very punctual on his namaz, alhamdulillah azza wa jal. Then if we go further on regarding about the fries, regarding, like, for example, we talk about fasting. that from very young age, Aala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala will start fasting. It says in the seerah that when Aala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala fast first time, then it was like very joyous moment for the whole household, and it was celebrated as well, that the whole family was invited at the time of iftar, and the close friends were invited as well at the time of iftar. And when Aala Hazrat kept his first fast, it was summer, and at midday he started feeling that the signs of thirst and hunger starting appearing in his face. So Aala Hazrat Rahmatullah, the father saw Aala Hazrat and looked at his face. But what he done, he took him to a room and closed the door and said, and he brought a sweet dish, like a cold sweet dish, and asked Aala Hazrat Rahmatullah that this is the sweet dish, please eat. But Aala Hazrat said that I'm fasting. And the Aala Hazrat father said that children's fasts are like that.
Right.
So door is closed, no one is looking,
Allah.
so just eat. But subhanallah, what Aala Hazrat replied, that was amazing. That Aala Hazrat replied that the one I have fasted for, he's watching.
Allah.
That Allah Azza wa Jalla is watching.
Very young age, and he's got this conscious.
Subhanallah.
Subhanallah.
And then when Aala Hazrat father listened that sentence, that the one I have fasted, he's watching, that it brought tears into his eyes. And he said that, look at this child, that in that such age, he's not forgetting the promise of Allah Azza wa Jalla, that when he's fasting, he's still keeping it and say that, no, Allah is watching, that I will not even eat when I'm actually inside the room. And that hunger, thirst, weakness in his young age, he's taking care of the promise he made to Allah Azza wa Jalla. So his father, actually, that the moment he has that, he's brought tears to his eyes. Subhanallah Azza wa Jalla. So that was the Aala Hazrat. You can see the mentality and look at the mindset Aala Hazrat has from very young age.
MashaAllah. It's a very beautiful account you mentioned, and I would like to give a message to the viewers of Madani Channel here. We are here to talk about the seerah of Sayyidi Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi, and we are here to learn something from his seerah. And I think it is not the piety which is being reflected from his personality from this account, but he is giving us a beautiful message. So the message is that we should also teach our children that Allah is watching us. I think if we come to know this phrase truly from the bottom of our heart, if we try to understand what does it actually mean, then many problems will be solved. Inshallah, we will be refrained from many sins. And if we teach this from very young age to our children, no matter your father, your mother, your brother, your sister, your relatives, they are watching you or not, but always remember that Allah is watching you. If this understanding is in the mind of someone's intellect and understanding, then definitely how is it possible that if a person really understands this, and there is a madad of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, help of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala with him, then inshallah many problems can be solved and a person can refrain from sins, which is also one of the beautiful forms of taqwa. Because a person, when he leaves sins, right, this is also required by taqwa. If we take further the Zat of Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh, as you mentioned the waqia of Rosa, right? The psalm and fasting. It is also mentioned at the time of his old age, because you mentioned an account which relates to his, you see, young age. But when we see Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh is in old age, at that moment in time, when it came to fast, Allahu Akbar, normally, right? We normally think that sometimes those, they've got little knowledge, they try to find a way out, right? But subhanallah, Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh's taqwa is such that he gave fatwa for himself. Right? He gave fatwa for himself that although I'm not able to fast in this weather condition where I am residing, but if I go to Nainital and if I fast there, which is a hilly area where the conditions are better for me there, and if I'm able to fast there, then for me, fasting there is fard. Right. Allahu Akbar. And not only he gave fatwa, he went there and he fasted.
That's right, yeah. So obviously, if we look at what Allah is teaching us, that like you mentioned yourself, that in these days, people trying to find the way that they try, if, for example, if someone's get ill, even is like small headache, they start missing the namaz. And if they are just gone like a little bit more like sick, then the person who is actually reading salah, they start missing the salah as well. And they stop going to the masajid. But Aala Hazrat has such a pious person that even in young age and even in the old age as well, that Aala Hazrat never missed his salah. Never miss his salah with congregation. Even it's written in his seerah that the jurist Mufti, when he got so many fatawas, like get a fatawas in large quantities, and if he spent times in answering those fatawas, then he get exempt from Sunnat Muqaddar. But Aala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala, he used to get so many fatawas, he was busy and always writing in them, but still then, Aala Hazrat never missed his Sunnat Muqaddar and never missed his namaz with congregation.
Subhanallah. Beautiful, beautiful. Dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, this is the Zat of Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh, and we are learning that Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh being steadfast on fara'id and wajibat, and even on sunan, the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. Taking further the discussion, if you could mention that account when Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh, even being ill and sick, in a condition that he was not able to walk to the masjid, how he would protect his salah, how he would go to masjid.
When a person is sick or is so weak that he cannot reach masjid, or if he can reach but his disease will increase, then he is exempt from congregational prayers. But Aala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala, in his illness, the state was such that he could not reach the masjid by himself.
Right.
Even then, he never missed congregational prayers.
Allah.
In Fatawa Rizviyah Sharif, answering one question, he stated, the answering of one of the question, that your letter received on 15th Rabiul Akhir. And I got very ill, like never before, after 12th Rabiul Awwal gathering. And I had even prepared my will. Even today, situation is that the masjid next door to my house, 4 people take me to masjid on chair
Allah.
and bring me back.
Subhanallah.
So look, if we imagine in our current situation, with people finding very, very small excuses to miss the namaz.
Sometimes we don't have excuses at all.
That's
Still
right.
we don't go to masjid.
That's right.
We are fine, we are healthy, we can walk, we have got health, and each and everything is fine, right? We go to work, we go to many places for outing and for enjoying our life, but unfortunately we don't go to masjid to offer salah. Dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, we should learn from the seerah of Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala. Him being weak, he was not able to walk to masjid, but yet he would make arrangements to go to masjid, offer salah with jama'at. Subhanallah. This is the piety of Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala. May Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala give us a little bit from the piety of Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala, a bit of understanding so we can also become pious and follow the footsteps of Sayyidi Aala alayhi Rahmah. Dear respected viewers, here we would like to include one segment which is about Kalam of Aala Hazrat alayhi Rahmah. We select one naat of Aala Hazrat and we try to explain that in English. And today the Kalam, what we have selected for you, that is Qasida Mi'rajiyah. It contains 67 couplets. Definitely we won't be able to cover all of the Qasida Mi'rajiyah, but we will select a few beautiful flowers from this Qasida Mi'rajiyah, few couplets we would like to share the beauty and fragrance of these flowers to you. Dear respected viewers, the poetic piece of work written by Sayyidi Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala contains 67 couplets, each more magnificent than the other. It is an awesome piece of work consisting of many mind-blowing similes, metaphors, and subhanallah, this particular work of Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala was written within a very short span of time, just in few hours, within the time frame of Zuhr to Asr. And moving away from his traditional writing style, he Rahmatullahi Ta'ala has chosen a congratulative approach rather than his usual praising methods. Sayyidi Muhammad Kachochwi Rahmatullahi Ta'ala writes, the poets of Lucknow, after hearing this piece of work, inshallah, what we're going to explain to you, praised it by saying, it is as if it has been written with the ink from the fountain of heaven and the stream of Kawthar. Allahu Akbar, Subhanallah, such a masterpiece from the poetry of Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi. Aala Hazrat says, वो सरवरे किश्वरे रिसालत जो अर्श पर जल वगर हुए थे, नए निराले तरब के सामा अरब के मेहमान के लिए थे. Before I translate this to you, actually a poet had come in the court of Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi, and he wanted to show his poetry. He had written one Qasida Mi'raj, and he wanted to show to Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi. He had read few couplets. Then Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi stopped and he said that we will sit again after Asr. So it was the time of after Zuhr. So between Zuhr and Asr, Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi wrote these 67 couplets of this Qasida. When people gathered again after Asr, Aala alayhi Rahma, he read his Qasida. So the poet, he did not read his one, and he said, no, there's no need for mine to be read, because subhanallah, what an outstanding you have written. Dear respected viewers, Aala Hazrat Rahma is saying, wo sarvare kishware risalat jo arsh par jal wagar huए थे, नए निराले तरब के सामा अरब के मेहमान के लिए थे. The master of the kingdom of prophethood, who went beyond the divine throne. New and unique arrangements were made for the Arabian guest. Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi is depicting the subhanallah waqia, an account of Mi'raj, when Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam went to see Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. Allahu Akbar. And Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi is mentioning here the account. Further he writes, Bahar hai shadiyan mubarak, चमन को आबादियाँ मुबारक, मलक फलक अपनी अपनी लय में ये घुर अनादिल का बोलते थे. The season of spring was in full blossom, the flower beds had bloomed, the angel, the sky in their unique tones were all singing in happiness like nightingales. Allahu Akbar. How beautiful metaphors he has used, the similes he has brought in this beautiful couplet. Allahu Akbar. He is saying, with the time of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam came to visit skies, heavens. Allahu Akbar. At that moment in time, what was the situation? The everything was giving congratulations to each other. Subhanallah. Allahu Akbar. And that was the situation when happiness was being celebrated. Subhanallah. And further he says, वहाँ फलक पर यहाँ ज़मीं में रची थी शादी मची थी धूमें, इधर से अनवार हंसते आते उधर से नफ़हात उठ रहे थे. There in the skies, here on earth, celebrations were in flow, an uproar was heard. From the skies descended magnificent lights, from earth were rising splendid fragrance. Allahu Akbar. My dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, when Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam was visiting the journey, Allahu Akbar, at that moment in time, the rain of nur in shape of light, the lights were coming from the sky, and the fragrance, Allahu Akbar, that was emanating from the earth. You see, when subhanallah any celebration happens, so this is what happens, the fragrance is arranged. Allahu Akbar. Udhar se anwar haste aate, idhar se nafhat uth rahe the. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah. My dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, look at the beautiful scenario Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala is depicting in his poetry, and he's talking about the journey of Mi'raj. Subhanallah. And the respected viewers of Madani Channel, as I said, this Qasida Mi'rajiyah contains 67 couplets. Definitely the time span we've got, that's very short. So cutting short, I would like to come to another beautiful couplet of Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi, mentioned here, the secret of Masjid Aqsa, the prayer which was led by Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. He says, Namaz Aqsa mein tha yahi sir, आया हो माना अव्वल आखिर कि दस्त बस्ता है पीछे हाजिर जो सल्तनत आगे कर गए थे. Subhanallah. Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi is mentioning the secret of Namaz Aqsa, and he is saying that this was the secret in leading prayer in Masjid Aqsa. the prayer Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam led in Masjid Aqsa. At that moment, all the previous prophets, all Rasul and all Anbiya, they were already present there. And subhanallah, Sayyidina Jibreel Ameen alayhi salatu wasalam held the blessed hand of Mustafa sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, and he made him Imam. And that was the day when Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam was given the title of Imamul Anbiya, and he led the prayer of Imams. Allahu Akbar. And he is mentioning that it is not the reason if someone comes in the end, if someone is in akhir, if he is in the last, it doesn't mean that his status is less. This was to show that Imam is made the one who is superior amongst all the people of that present time. So there Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam was superior in each and every attribute. That was the reason he was made Imam. And this was made clear that subhanallah, Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam's nur was first created, but he came at the end, and even he has been made Imam of all Anbiya. This was to show the shan, the status of Mustafa sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. कि दस्तबस्ता है पीछे हाजिर जो सल्तनत आगे कर गए थे. Another point we learn here that Anbiya and Rusul, they were present who had departed from this mortal world before. But subhanallah, they had all come there and they led salah behind Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. That's the reason, my dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, if all Anbiya are alive, that was the reason they were all present behind Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. Inshallah, we will include few more couplets of this Qasidah Mirajiyah. Stay tuned. We'll come back to the topic of the day, which is Piety of Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi. Listen, there's another beautiful account in front of me that shows us the piety, taqwa of Sayyidi Aala Hazrat Rahmah. It is mentioned that once a person came in the court of Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, and he had brought few sweets in one pot, and he presented that to Sayyidi Aala Hazrat Rahmah. Aala Hazrat asked, how did you come? What is the purpose of your coming? So he replied, I have come to say salam to you. After a little while, he kept quiet, and he again asked, do you have any work? He said, no, nothing. I just came to inquire after your health. Aala Hazrat said, okay, great. Do you want to say anything? And he said, no, nothing. Now, Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi called somebody from home and asked that, could you please take this pot inside? So that was taken. After a little while, that same person, he said to Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi that if you could give me ta'weez. So the complete attitude of Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi changed. And he said, I asked you 3 times, that what is the reason? Why have you come here? You did not mention that. Okay, fine, sit down. Now, Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, he asked his nephew to bring ta'weez, who used to give ta'weezat. Now, one ta'weez was brought and it was given to that person. And then Aala Hazrat instructed the family members to bring that pot back. And he also gave that pot to that person. Could you please take that with you? Because ta'weez is not sold here. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. He insisted a lot, please take this. But he refused. He said, we do not sell ta'weez up here. Allahu Akbar. Dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, this was the piety of Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala. This was the taqwa of Aala Hazrat alayhi rahmah. And following the seerah of Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, Amir of Ahle Sunnat, Hazrat Allama, Maulana, Muhammad, Ilyas, Attar, Qadri, Damat, Barakatuhum al-Aliyah, who says that my ideal personality is Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi. Subhanallah. So, following his seerah, he also distributes ta'weezat. Initially he used to do, then subhanallah, few qualified brothers, they are trained and they've got knowledge to give out ta'weezat with the permission of Amir of Ahle Sunnat, Damat Barakatum al-Aliyah. Now you would be surprised to know that tens of thousands of ta'weezat per year, they are distributed across the globe. They are posted If you are in America, you are in Germany, you are in UK, you are in Europe, no matter wherever you are, if you request ta'wizat, Allahu Akbar, they are posted. Even the postage is not asked for. All is free of cost. And across the globe, this service is to serve the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala sallam. Ta'wizat are not sold in Dawat-e-Islam. This is the seerah of Aala Hazrat, and this is Amir of Ahle Sunnah who is following this beautiful seerah of Sayyidi Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh. May Allah tabarak wa ta'ala give a long life to my Shaykh Tariqat, Amir of Ahle Sunnah. Ameen. Bijahi Nabi Ameen. Ji, Hasan bhai, anything else would you like to share, please?
Like we mentioned about Aala Hazrat, that the person came and Aala Hazrat mentioned that ta'wizats are not sold. Similarly, there's a parable that Aala Hazrat talk about his fatawas as well. That it says that Aala Hazrat used to get so many fatawas, the questions, and then once a person wrote his question, and on the end it's written that whatever fees will be for that answer, I will pay for that. And subhanAllah, Aala Hazrat rahmatullah ta'ala wrote the answer of his question, and then further on he stated that Alhamdulillah that no fees is charged for fatawas here. That by the grace of Allah we receive questions from whole of India and from other countries like China, America, Arab Sharif, Iraq, and sometime at one time we have 400 fatawas to answer. By grace of Allah, from my father time until now 1337 Hijri, approximately 91 years we are issuing fatawas. And by grace of Allah, I'm personally issuing fatawas for 51 years. In these 91 years, thousands of fatawas were written. The 12 volumes were only mine. And grace of Allah, not a single penny is being charged and will not be charged.
Subhanallah.
So Aala Hazrat is providing the service, and we can see the knowledge of Aala Hazrat as well, that he's getting the questions from around the world, from China, from America, and he's answering them and never ever charge a penny. Similarly, like Dawat Islami, alhamdulillah, Dawat Islami has a department as well, Ahle Sunnat, where there's a different services provided as well. There's a written fatwa has been provided. You can call to the number and then the fatwa has been provided. And all of these services are free of charge as well. Like you mentioned about Tawizat Atariya. Similarly, in Dawat Islami, the services provided for Ahle Sunnat as well, that's free of charge as well.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah, MashaAllah. Very respected viewers of Madani Channel, we'll come back to the topic. Let's include a few more ash'ar in our program. Dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh writes in his Qasidah Mi'rajiyah another beautiful couplet. He says, Tabarakallah hai shaan teri, tujhi ko zaiba hai beniyazi. Tabarakallah hai shaan teri, tujhi ko zaiba hai beniyazi. Kahin to wo josh lan tarani, kahin taqaze visal ke the. Allahu Akbar. Here Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala is saying, praise be to you, my Lord. Such independence is befitting for you alone. At times it was stern, you cannot see me. Other times dictated a meeting. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah. Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi is saying that, Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, you have got exalted status. Your majesty is great. Tabarakallah hai shaan teri, tujhi ko zaiba hai beniyazi. You are samad, you are indifferent. Allahu Akbar. And then he says, Kahin to wo josh lan tarani. He has used a part of a sentence from Quran, a verse from Quran, where Sayyidina Musa ala nabiyina alayhi salatu wassalam, and he requested to have the vision of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. He was replied that you are not able to see me. It was not said that I cannot be seen by someone, but it was said you cannot see me. Lan tarani. This was mentioned, and he's brought this here, Allahu Akbar. And kahin to wo joshe lan tarani to Musa, oh Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, you are samad, you are indifferent. Tabarakallah hai shaan teri. You're saying to him, Lan tarani. But on the other hand, Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam is being invited from your court. Allahu Akbar. He is being brought from Makkatul Mukarramah to Masjid Aqsa. He is being made Imam salam, then he's been taken to the skies, he's been shown the heavens, and subhanallah to Sidratul Muntaha, then beyond, Allahu Akbar, and then you have shown your blessed vision also to your beloved Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Tabarakallah shan teri, tujhi ko zaiba hai beniyazi, kahin to wo josh lan tarani, kahin taqaze visal ke the. And then further he says, खिरद से कह दो कि सर झुका ले, गुमा से गुजरे गुजरने वाले, पड़े हैं यहाँ खुद जिहद को लाले, किसे बताए किधर गए थे. Tell intellect to bow its head. The travelers have gone beyond imagination. All directions are baffled themselves, clueless, and having no idea in which direction the traveler has gone. Allahu Akbar. Dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, there are so many beautiful ash'ar. Time does not permit to carry on, but inshallah, if we'll have another program, we will try to explain others too. And finally, I would like to include a beautiful couplet. Nabi Rahmat Shafi' Ummat Raza pe lillah ho inayat, ise bhi un khil'aton se hissa jo khas rahmat ke va bate the. He says, O Prophet of Mercy, intercession of the nation, may Raza be blessed. Grant him a share of the special distributions that were gifted on this blessed night. May Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala also give us share. Ameen. Bijahi Nabi al-Ameen. Sallallahu Ta'ala ala Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. Let's come back towards our topic that is regarding piety of Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh. Once said Dada Bhai Haji Karim Nur Muhammad, he was a person he had invited. So Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh went there and he presented sweet dish in front of Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala. They were present in a tray. Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala really liked that sweet dish. Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh, after eating, he asked that person who had invited the host, Dada Bhai, can I take a little bit firni, this is sweet dish from it, and can I give it to Abdul Salam, Maulana Abdul Salam? They were another Maulana there. So everybody were amazed and they started looking at Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala. Why is he taking permission from the host? Allahu Akbar. So the host said, Huzur, whoever you wish to, you can give it to him. And I requested the person who is narrating this account, he says, I asked Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala, what was the need to ask from the host? Then Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala replied, whatever has been placed on this dining mat in front of me, this is amanat for me. This is entrust for me. Okay, and only I can eat it. Whatever is left, that is milkiyat and ownership of the host. That belongs to him. And I can only give to someone else after taking permission from the host. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, this was the level of piety. He was such a muhtaat personality. He would take care on little matters, because, dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, this is the shan of awliya Allah. This is the status of awliya Allah. Those they are closer to Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. They've got proximity in the court of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. On very minor little matters, they are very conscious and they take care. Alhamdulillah. Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi is one of them.
Similar, the parable you mentioned about the piety of Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala, it's very famous, the parable regarding Aala Hazrat memorizing his Quran. So it says that Sayyid Ayub Ali Rahmatullahi Ta'ala mentioned that one day Aala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala said that some unaware people write the title of Hafiz with my name, whereas I do not deserve it, as I am not a Hafiz of the Holy Quran. So Sayyid Ayub Rahmatullah Ta'ala further said that Aala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala started memorizing the Quran the very same day. Probably the duration for that memorization was from having made the wudu of Salatul Isha to the commencement of Jamaat of Salatul Isha. Aala Hazrat Rahmatullah memorized one para, that part, the juz of Quran, every day, and he finished the 30th part on the 30th day. And in one occasion, when Aala Hazrat mentioned that I have memorized the Holy Quran in sequence by making efforts. And I have done so that what those people say about me by writing the title Hafiz with my name will not prove to be wrong.
Hassan bhai, this is a beautiful point. Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, whenever he writes, he also is very careful in his writing. He writes there, I have memorized Quran in sequence with making effort. Could you please read that?
That's right. He says, I have memorized the Holy Quran in sequence by making efforts.
In sequence by making effort. Now, if you look at this phrase, what Aala Hazrat has used, explaining that how did he memorize Quran, Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala is a great mufti. He is a great mufassir. He knew Quran, alhamdulillah. You see, various parts of the Quran, I believe that he knew all the Quran, but it was not memorized in sequence. So then he says, already I knew Quran, but I learnt it by making effort in sequence so that I can be called as a Hafiz. Otherwise, Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala knew Quran. Throughout his life, he gave fatwa from Quran. He was mufassir of Quran. But subhanallah, when it came that what is normally known to be a Hafiz, subhanallah, he made an effort in sequence. And by making an effort, he became Hafiz also. This is a great personality of Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh. Hassan bhai, there's another beautiful account with regards to piety of Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh. There was a tailor master, Haji Muhammad Haider. He had invited Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh, and at the dawat, so there was no cold water present. So Haji Sahab, he called his son. He said, Yasin, go to masjid and there is a clay pot. In that there is water. Go and get one jug from there. So Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala said, that water is for those who go for salah and offer salah there. So the person who is not musalli, right, and he cannot bring that for him, Allahu Akbar, because that's not for that person. Or the one who is crossing by, he should also not drink, because that water is for the person who goes in the masjid to offer salah. That water is for them to drink. Allahu Akbar. And he said, don't get that water from masjid. Allah. Dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, this is the taqwa of Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala. From each and every account, you don't only look at the taqwa, but you can also see his knowledge, his subhanallah, the command on hadith and the fiqh. And he mentions these masail also, and he teaches and he guides the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallam. So, my dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, we hope that you must have learnt a lot today in this episode where we talked about piety of Aala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh. You can write us and tell us your feedback, and inshallah we'll come back with another beautiful episode of Imam of Ahle Sunnah. Until then, keep watching Madani Channel, keep reciting Salat upon Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Imam Muhammad Rida, Imam Ahle Sunnah, Imam Ahmad Rida, Imam Muhammad Rida, Imam Ahle Sunnah.